Welcome back to Cheddar News. As nations like India work toward meeting their climate commitments over the next decade, they're turning to companies focused on renewable energy. One such company that's hoping to electrify the market is ReNew Power, based in India. They just went public today on the Nasdaq via a SPAC merger. The deal is worth $8 billion, which could be a green light for other Indian companies looking to reap the most reward from going public here in the U.S. So joining us now is Sumant Sinha, founder, chairman, and CEO of ReNew Power. Sumant, thank you so much for being here. I want to start with this. You decided to go public internationally, that of course being here in the U.S. and via a SPAC. Can you break down why that is, why you didn't go an IPO in India, and what opportunities does this method bring?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. The reason we decided to do an IPO here in the U.S. via a SPAC is because, we wanted to access the international markets. Here in the US, you have the most deep and liquid pool of money. And now with the ESG investing picking up quite substantially, we felt that accessing the markets here would probably make the most sense for us on an ongoing long-term basis. Now going public via direct IPO or a SPAC, we could have done a direct IPO as well, but we just felt that at the time we started looking at the market, we got approached by a few SPACs. RMG, the one that we finally tied up with, had some really good people, and we thought that a partnership with them would actually be quite helpful for us in the long run. And that's how we partnered with them. And essentially, look, from our standpoint, it was just a way to get into the public markets more than anything else. And I'm glad to say that the transaction closed today and we got listed. And from this point on, I guess it doesn't matter as much as to how we got here. The important thing is that we are now a listed company on the Nasdaq with access to the capital markets here to raise capital for what is essentially a sector that is very capital intensive.
Yeah, you mentioned the focus now is that you are here, you're raising capital. Can you talk about what you're going to use this capital infusion for?
Yeah, sure. So look, with the capital that we've raised today, the net proceeds we're getting is about $610 million. We already had a significant amount of cash on our balance sheet. So we have more than $1 billion of cash right now. And of course, we'll be generating free cash flows as we go forward. Our expectation is that with the cash that we're raising and that we have already on hand, we will be doing a couple of things. One is that we have currently 6,000 megawatts of commissioned capacity, but there's another 4,000 megawatts that we're building in addition to that over the next 2 years. So some of the capital will go for that. And then, of course, we want to carry on with doing both organic build-outs as well as M&A for growing our portfolio in the future. And our expectation is that with the capital that we've now raised, that will allow us to get to about 18.5 gigawatts of fully commissioned capacity by 2025. So essentially a 3x growth from where we are right now over the next 4 years is really what we're expecting to happen post this capital raise that we've done.
Wow, 3x growth, that's pretty substantial. I wonder, and I guess taking a step back here, if you can break down, what energy services you actually currently provide in India and how big is your current customer base?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, so we are basically a builder, owner, and operator of wind farms and solar farms. We're actually the largest in India. We currently have about 6,000 megawatts of commissioned capacity. And as I said earlier, we're building another 4,000 megawatts. So we are actually generating at this point about 1% of India's total electricity production. And India, keep in mind, is the third largest electricity market in the world after China and the US. And we help mitigate about 0.5% of India's carbon emissions, which is actually quite sizable because with the growth in India's power sector, carbon emissions are likely to go up as well. So replacing existing legacy assets and meeting future demand growth through clean energy is really one of the most fundamental things that are required to mitigate the whole carbon and climate change issues, globally. And so I think we as a company are playing a very fundamental role in doing that. And our expectation is that we'll continue to have a 10 to 12% market share as we go forward of the Indian renewables market.
That was going to be actually my next question, if you could talk about your market share. I've got less than a minute here, so I wonder if you could just also talk about, and you kind of touch on this there, just the overall renewable energy sector in India and how fast it's growing.
Yeah, look, that's a great question, and it's a very important one. India currently has about 90 gigawatts of wind and solar assets up and running. The government is targeting for that to grow to 450 gigawatts by 2030. So we're talking about a 5 times growth in the next 10 years, which is a 20% year-on-year growth in the sector itself. And as I said earlier, for a variety of reasons, that's absolutely essential for the world as a whole. Now, within that, and this, by the way, is going to require at least $500 billion worth of total investments to make all of this happen. And then we have things like green hydrogen, storage, and so on that are also going to be coming in and becoming business opportunities for us. So we intend to, as I said earlier, maintain a 10 to 12% market share while maintaining capital discipline. And we're able to do that because we have a very end-to-end execution model, which is unlike anybody in India. And we do both wind and solar. And that allows us now to start providing complex solutions, both to the utilities as well as to corporate customers, so that we are actually able to meet the power needs of various types of customers going forward.
Well, listen, congrats on today going public. That's a major move, obviously, for the company. We'll continue to follow the growth in this space. And then, of course, with your company, to your point, potentially 3x soon. Thank you so much, Sumant Sinha, founder, chairman, and CEO of ReNew Power.